Thanks for coming back for this week's track guide. I appreciate all the comments, likes, and views so far. I spent quite a few hours and kilometers, nearly 900, to learn this track and to get the setup dialed in. But a bit of bad news. I won't be doing a track guide for next week's session at the Nordschleife, as I've only ever done about 10 laps on that track, and I don't think I'll have enough time to learn it to the level I'd like to for all of you. If I get a good lap, I'll upload that, but there won't be a full track guide. Anyway, thanks again for coming, and here's my track guide for the Hockenheim ring in the Ferrari 296 GT3. For turn 1, we're going to brake halfway between the 50 and 100 meter board, about 75%, then trailing off right after peak pressure. Aim to have the right side tires over the orange sausage curb on the inside, and to get on throttle just before the curb. This corner is really tricky, and there's a lot of time to be gained or lost. You can use a lot of the runoff on exit without a track cut, but be sure to have at least 2 tires on the right side of the thin metal grate between the curb and the AstroTurf before the end of the larger portion of curbing. For turn 2, we're going to brake halfway between the 150 and 100 board, get your left tires onto the outside curb, and turn in a hair later than you might expect, aiming for a later apex at the orange sausage curb. It's important to not run too deep on this corner, as you will lose a lot of time going down the straight, and you may be forced to take a suboptimal line through turn 3, losing even more time. Be careful on throttle to avoid slipping the rear. It's very important to maximize exit speed onto the long straight. For turn 4, the hairpin, we'll brake the car just before the curb on the left starts. Get the left tires onto the curb. This will slightly reduce braking performance, but also open up the corner, saving time in the end. Light hands on the wheel during braking, and the somewhat aggressive ABS setting used in this setup will make sure you get the most out of your brakes here. Downshift all the way to first, and turn in quite late. We'll be getting on the throttle before we reach the inside curb on the exit half of the corner, letting the car go wide but avoiding the sausage curb on exit. Turn 5 is flat, but make sure to use all of the track to prepare the corner to carry as much speed as possible. Pay attention to keeping your hands light on the wheel to avoid scrubbing speed. Turn 6, we're going to brake about 1/3 of the way down the curb on the right, somewhere around 120 meters. You can get away with touching a bit of grass between curbs here, but too much will ruin your corner. A lot of the rotation in this corner happens near the inside curb, as there is a lot of helpful camber here. If you run too wide on exit, you won't be able to prepare the important next corner, so you will have to sacrifice a bit of track use on this exit. Do not stop turning the car left to prepare the next corner. If you can straighten the wheel, you aren't carrying enough speed. For turn 7, we're going to get onto the curb on the left and lift as we turn the wheel to the right. We're going to do this right as the curb on the left ends. Depending on how much speed you are carrying and how well you manage to prepare this corner, you may need to use 1% brakes here during the time where my throttle is at its lowest. The inside curb has a portion that is fairly straight, right around where the AstroTurf starts. Aim to apex just after this straight part ends, or around the second half of the AstroTurf. This corner requires focus on throttle control and light hands on the wheel to avoid wheel slip on the rear. Taking the inside curb will likely make the car slip or require less speed, so I mostly avoid it. Let the car run out to the exit, but avoid the orange sausage curb. For turn 8, we're going to get as far left as we can while keeping 2 tires on the right-hand side of the white line to prepare the corner. Turn in and brake lightly right where the wall on the left comes to the right the most. Trail the brake through this corner, and be patient to get back on the throttle. You'll have to trail the brake 1% until the inside curb nearly ends. I got back on throttle here a bit too early and had to lift to avoid getting an off track, probably costing myself a tenth or two. Keep 2 tires on the curb on the exit to avoid a track cut, and likely a spin from touching the gravel. Hustle the car to the right to prepare the next corner. For turn 9, brake about a car length before the 50 board, and aim to get the car to the inside of the corner early. The camber here helps a lot, and the closer to the inside without touching the inside curb is best. Trail the brake 1% until the giant oil container is almost directly in front of you, then get on the throttle and let the car run out to the exit. The AstroTurf here can make the car loose, but it's important to open up the next corner as much as possible, so just take as much as you can while staying safe. The next 3 corners feel like one giant complex, so I'm going to treat them as one corner here. Get all the way onto the left curb on entry, ignoring the curb on the right with the orange. We want to get the car to the left and as settled as possible to set up the turn onto the final straight. As the car runs out to the left, brake lightly and steer gently to the right. Trail the brakes until you have the car pointed at the inner curb, then ease onto the throttle. Let the car run out to the left, avoiding the sausage curb. The goal is to get the car as straight and settled as we can by the end of the sausage curb, using very light brakes as we get there to rotate the car for the final corner of this complex. Trail 1% brake until the car is rotated enough, a bit before halfway through the corner, as the room on exit is quite generous. Unfortunately, I don't really have visual reference here for when to get on the throttle, and just rely on feel. Be careful with the throttle as the rear likes to get loose. To avoid a track cut here, keep 2 tires on the light green or white and blue curb, and get 2 tires to the right of the white line before the curb ends. And that's the end of the lap. Thanks for checking out this track guide. I hope to see you in the next one, and I'll leave you with an uninterrupted hot lap.